Hey everybody, it's Kim Gray. Welcome to my heart opening class, which is for the Keep Abreast Fit for Prevention campaign. Enjoy. So let's begin in a seated, comfortable position. Feel free to take a blanket or a bolster or some other prop and bring that behind or beneath the sitting bones. And maybe we start with our palms down or up. We can also bring hands onto the heart. One of my most favorite mudras is called Garuda Mudra, which is the gesture of immunity. We do that with the right palm on the heart, the left over the right, the thumbs interlace, and the fingers spread. And immunity is one of those things that we can enhance with yoga, with stress reduction techniques, with movement, with a proper diet. And it's one of the systems that we really focus on when someone gets a diagnosis of cancer. And this particular class benefits the Keep Abreast Foundation, which is all about breast cancer. And so this mudra, this gesture, we connect the hands to the heart. Let's bring awareness to this area in our body, the heart center. We might be able to notice the heart beating or the lungs breathing. Let's allow that awareness to expand out from our heart center. Noticing any body parts where there may be sensation. Maybe there's a little discomfort, feeling free to adjust our position. Maybe there's a pleasant sensation, positive energy in our hands, for example, maybe beneath our heart here. We might also be taking care of a body part. So remembering that as we move through our practice, that we're each in charge. We have the power and the permission to alter our practice as we need. So getting a sense of how we're breathing here with the hands over our hearts. Just noting the quality of our breath. And then beginning an easy 3-part breath. Letting the belly be soft. Receiving the breath in the belly, the ribs, the chest as we draw the breath in through the nostrils. And releasing the breath from the nostrils, leaving the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Just following that breath pattern without strain or stress or force. And let's bring one hand onto our belly. And we're moving into a healing affirmation of self-love. Following our breath. On the next exhale, take 10 counts to let the breath out. We'll do that a few rounds, letting the exhale last for 10 counts. Focusing on the breath, let's move our eyes toward the center and up as if we're looking at the center of the brow. Focusing on the out breath, keeping our eyes focused in the center of the brow. And repeating with me in a call and response. Peace in my mind. Peace in my mind. Peace for my body. Peace for my body. Peace always surrounds my soul. Peace always surrounds my soul. Let's do that 2 more times. Peace in my mind. Peace for my body. Peace always surrounds my soul. Peace in my mind. Peace for my body. Peace always surrounds my soul. Mantras are powerful when we use them. They can help us manifest, bring to fruition something we are trying to attain, something we are hoping for. The more we focus, the more we begin to order our life on that thing that we are moving toward, working toward. And in today's world, full of anxiousness, stress, isolation, illness, working on our body, our mind to be peaceful can help us be just that. So as we're ready, let's add some movement to our practice. So come on to an all fours position. Feel free to position the knees on a blanket or roll up the mat, fold up the mat to create a cushion. We can also create fists for wrists. Otherwise, fingers span out here so the wrists, the fingers rather, are connected to the mat. And let's start to explore the 6 movements of the spine. So on our next inhale, we'll draw it through the nose. We'll lift up through the heart space. And then let's curl the toes under. We'll start with our tailbone and round through the back, 1 vertebra at a time. And let's move with our breath here. Lifting up through the heart on the inhale, rounding through the back on the exhale. And eventually we'll come back to a seated place, a centered place, and we'll begin our tail wag. So we'll bring our right shoulder toward our hip as we exhale, back to center as we inhale, switching sides. And now we're moving laterally, one side at a time, moving with ease and with our breath. So maintaining that 3-part breath that we cultivated earlier, using the pace of that breath along with our movement to find that speed that's just right for our body in this moment. And we feel the groundedness of hands, knees, tops of the feet. And eventually we'll transition this into the last 2 movements of the 6, which is rotation. So we balance between the 2 sides, And then on the exhale, we'll bring right hand to the hip and back to center, inhaling and switching sides. So we're just warming up our bodies and moving in a range of motion that's just right. Let's balance between our two sides here. We'll make our way into child's pose, bringing our hips back toward our heels, maybe opening our knees a little bit, belly sinking between the thighs, arms stretching out. And we'll stretch or kind of sidewind one side to the other, kind of finding some organic movement here. And in the process, noticing ankles, knees, hips, lower back, shoulders, any other parts where we feel sensation. Just breathing into that. And coming back to a centered place as we're ready and giving ourselves that permission to rest anytime during our practice. Now we'll come forward into a kneeling plank as we inhale. And we'll pause with the shoulders over the wrist, keeping the core active. We'll lift up through the heart space and then a neutral spine as we press back into child's pose while exhaling. Let's inhale and come forward into that kneeling plank. We'll pause. And keeping those hips lifted, belly lifted, we'll just lift up gently through the sternum and exhale back into child's pose. So we'll continue to explore this a little bit. Let's do one more. Now from here, let's come into an all fours position. We'll bring those hips over the knees again, but we'll walk the hands a little bit further forward. And then we'll bow down. We'll bring that head between the arms. This is called a puppy pose. And let's slide our shoulders away from our ears, creating a little bit of length in our neck. We might find that heart region gently opening, stretching here, feeling the openness perhaps in the armpits, maybe a little bit of effort in the upper back region. Taking a few more breaths here. This pose gives us similar stretching like downward facing dog without so much weight bearing on the wrists and the shoulders. Now, as we're ready, we'll lift the gaze. We'll walk those hands back. Coming into child's pose, we're moving into a flow known as flying cow. So let's bear down into the shins, the knees, and we'll lift up the torso. We'll sweep those arms up as we inhale, and then we'll do a little bow here, hands coming down. And that's our flow. Now let's see if we can find a little bit of undulation in the spine as we move, paying attention to the movement of the spine, starting in a rounded position, but then slowly growing up through those natural S curves, eventually ending with an extended upper back. So we can stay with this as our float. Might feel really lovely. Or the next time we bow down, we can come into that kneeling plank, lifting up through the sternum at the end, and then engaging our core, letting the back round like a cat pose back into child. And so the full flying cow flow, we root and rise, and we bow down, and then we find that kneeling plank with a gentle lifting heart, rounding through the back. So letting our breath and our body be our guide as we continue to find a few more flying cow flows here. And so following this last flow here, we'll meet in either a puppy pose or perhaps a downward facing dog. Another option is dolphin pose with the forearms down. And so if we're choosing either dolphin or a downward facing dog, we'll keep our knees soft. We'll begin to pedal our toes, our heels. We'll roll through those toes, shifting weight from foot to foot, side to side, maintaining that breath that we've established, full and deep. It's just as important to breathe deeply as it is to do the poses. They are of equal value. And eventually we'll bring both heels toward the earth if we're in dog or dolphin. And we'll raise the gaze and we'll walk the feet forward. If we're on our knees, we'll still walk our feet forward. We'll come into an easy soft kneed forward fold. And let's root and rise here as we inhale. And exhale, mountain pose. So we'll step 1 foot back and face the long edge of our mat, the toes turning out and the heels turning in. We'll bend into our knees and make sure that the knees are tracking consistently over the ankles, redistributing the weight as we need. And let's bring the 4 corners of our feet into that mat. And we'll sweep the arms up, inhaling, and we'll draw the elbows into the ribs. The knees are bending here in moonflowers. Now, as we're moving, can we also focus on our breath? We've been breathing 3-part breath. Can we add a little bit of whisper breath to that, kind of layering that in, and then transitioning to sunflower as we're ready. The last one here, we're meeting in a pose called goddess. So we're bending our knees and bringing those elbows wide, goddess pose. Let's take those arms out long. And on the next exhale, let's draw our arms across the chest like a self-hug, noting which arm is on top. And then inhaling, we'll lengthen the legs and we'll open the arms, gently lifting the heart. And exhale, we'll bend into the knees and we'll bring the other arm on top for that hug. And this is our flow. We'll inhale, lengthening, lifting the heart gently, exhaling a self-hug. We're flowing here with intention. Gently lifting that heart space. Breathing in. So do you remember which side you started with? Let's balance between the 2 sides. We inhale, opening arms, long legs. We'll exhale and turn, stepping to the top of the mat again, finding mountain pose. So rooting the 4 corners of the feet in here, feeling solid, strong in mountain. We'll sweep the arms up as we inhale. We'll exhale to chair pose, maybe hands at the heart center. Or as we continue to flow, we can experiment with different arm positions, maybe the arms out long, and we circle, sweep down and up, or back and up. So feeling free to experiment with different arm movements based on how your shoulders feel in the moment. And then as we're ready, we'll take a little swan dive into an easy forward fold, hands landing on thighs or shins, or maybe the block ankles are all the way down. And then reversing as we inhale, we'll exhale a chair pose. So we'll experiment with this a few times. Last one here. So let's come into mountain pose and we'll root into the right foot, reaching the right arm up as we inhale. Let's exhale the chair pose here, arms out long. We'll switch sides. So finding any expression of chair here in between the lateral flexion flow. And we'll balance between those sides. Let's come back to mountain pose and let's bring the hands once more into Garuda Mudra. Right hand on the heart, left over the right, thumbs interlace. From here, we're moving into a Kriya called Flight of the Bird. So let's root into the right foot. We'll step the left foot back, bending into the right knee, letting the arms and the heart open. Exhaling, we'll step forward and we'll switch the hand that's on top. And then we'll switch sides. And we'll step forward. So inhaling, we step back, arms, heart opening up. Now the key to this is to keep the four corners of the front foot secure. Now creating that stable foundation from which we can move. So here, let's balance between our two sides. And we'll meet back in that Garuda Mudra. We might notice the heart beating a little more, the breath moving a little faster. And while we have the mind focused on this area, let's water the seeds of appreciation and gratitude. It's important to practice these positive emotions because what we focus on mentally is what grows. So when we visualize watering seeds of gratitude and appreciation, guess what? That's what blooms. But if we focus on stress, anxiety, or other negative emotions, that's what blooms or grows like weeds in a garden, and they seem to grow even faster, don't they? So the practice of gratitude, appreciation has been studied, and they improve our immune system health. So from here, let's bring the hands at our sides, and we'll take them, the arms behind the back, and we'll squeeze hands toward each other like we're holding onto a beach ball. So stretching open across the chest. Couple of breaths here. Another option, bringing the hands toward each other, or maybe opposite hand to elbow here. And then on our next exhale, we're bending our knees a lot and bringing the belly to our thighs. We'll connect the belly and thighs. We'll lift up our hips toward the sky. We'll surrender the crown of the head down toward the earth. And maybe we'll turn the head side to side. Maybe we'll nod our head a few times. And as we're ready, we'll lower our arms. And let's lift halfway up, hands on our shins, nose pointing down here. Maybe we'll reach our arms out like the wings of an airplane. And as we exhale, let's bend our knees, coming into our chair pose, arms reaching out in front, our hands at our heart center. And as we inhale, let's root and rise, lifting up gently through our hearts. And we'll lower our arms as we exhale and walk our feet together. And rerouting into those four corners, let's reach our arms up as we inhale. And we'll exhale and find twisting chair toward the right. Let's take 3 breath cycles here. Let's root and rise, inhaling. Coming up, we untwist. We'll exhale and twist toward the left, and then we'll continue to flow with our breath. 1 movement per breath, inhaling up, and we'll exhale and twist back toward the right. And the next time we're twisting on the left, let's hold that. Let's untwist. Let's bring our hands all the way to the ground, and we'll step back into downward dog. Child's pose, a lovely option. And perhaps here, we move into our flying cow flow, or maybe some other vinyasa that feels right at the moment. And that could even be a cow and a cat flow. So let's find our way back into downward facing dog. And we'll sweep our right leg to the sky, allowing our right hip to open and the right knee to bend, maybe even rotating that ankle around a little bit. Breathing into that open right side of our torso. And as we exhale, let's close the hip. And we'll sweep that right foot forward, pivoting the back heel down. And let's rise up. We'll come into an exalted warrior 1 here, hearts gently lifting up. Another option, we could do cow face arms, keeping the left arm up, the right arm coming down. And we'll come to a neutral spine here. We'll pick up our back heel, core is active, and we'll hinge forward and float up that back leg. So maybe we're maintaining our cow face arms, or our arms are going out in front, or arms like a T, or arms like airplane wings, or hands at our heart center. Slow motion, we lower that lifted leg. We'll pivot that heel back down, coming back into our warrior 1. We'll undo our arms and sweep them up as we inhale. We'll exhale into warrior 2. So facing the long edge of the mat, adjusting our stance as we need, maybe pressing through the heels of the palms and shifting forward and back a bit. Opening up the side body, waking up oblique muscles. Full steady breath. And the next time we're forward, that front palm to the sky, let's lift up there. Maybe the okay sign, I like the A-OK sign. We know that means I'm okay in this moment, and that can be a really powerful mantra to keep us in the moment. I'm okay. I'm still okay. Still okay. I'm okay. Breathing well into that open right side of our torso. And on our inhale, we'll windmill back into warrior two. We'll lengthen our front leg, pressing through that left hip. Kind of shift out over that front arm and find our triangle pose. Maybe we're reaching that left arm up to the sky. Maybe the hand is on the hip if we're taking care of the shoulder. If the arm is up, let's experiment waving it or circling it. The good news about this movement here is that we have a bunch of lymph nodes in the armpit region, and our lymph system is connected to our immune system. The lymph system it's really our body's garbage collection system. So it goes throughout the body, collecting all the garbage, but there's one issue with it. It doesn't have a pump like the heart does. Coming back to our triangle pose, let's bend into the front knee. We'll bring both hands to the earth and we'll pick up the back heel and we'll turn this into a twist. So maybe fist in the mat or hand on the block, and then we'll twist toward that bent front leg, maybe reaching that arm up here. So since there's no pump, the way the lymph fluid moves around our body is when we move our body. So we want to open up areas where there is a large concentration of lymph nodes, like the armpit region and also the hip region. So as we're ready from this twist with intention, we'll lower back into our lunge and we'll step back into downward facing dog or child's pose. We can rest or we can move through a flow, maybe a flying cow, maybe a regular vinyasa, cow-cat flow. And we'll meet in our downward facing dog as we're ready. And from here then, let's find that left leg lifting up. We'll allow the hip to open, we'll bend the knee. And we'll breathe into that open left side of our torso. Hearing and feeling that gentle, steady whisper breath. And as we exhale, we'll close that hip. We'll sweep the bent leg forward, pivoting our back heel down. And let's rise up into our warrior one. So maybe lifting up gently through the heart here, keeping the four corners of our feet steady here. Another option is our cow face arms with the right arm up, left arm down. We'll come back to a neutral spine. We'll pick up our back heel. We're hinging forward and floating up that back leg, strengthening that front leg, nose point straight down here, keeping our breath, keeping our roots, keeping our internal support. And then slow motion, we lower, bending that front knee, bring that back foot down. We'll undo our arms and sweep up as we inhale, and we'll exhale and open into our warrior two. So adjusting our stance as we need, pressing through the heels of our palms, or keeping our legs solid, centered, steady, shifting side to side. The next time we're forward, that front palm to the sky, and then we'll lift up. And we'll find that A-OK gesture. So that OK sign in Sanskrit can mean a couple of things. It can mean consciousness, it can mean wisdom, or it can simply mean A-OK. In this moment, I'm okay. And so anytime we're dealing with something big, that mantra holds such power. In this moment, I'm okay. Now on our next inhale, we'll bring our arms back into that warrior two position. We'll lengthen the front leg, we'll press through the back hip. We'll take our time as we shift over the front leg and then lower that left arm, the front arm to the inside of the leg, finding our triangle pose. And maybe we're waving that lifted arm, maybe we're circling the arm, stimulating the flow of that garbage collection system. Eventually coming back to our triangle pose for a few breaths. And as we are ready, we'll bend into that front knee, we'll pick up that back heel, and with intention, we'll make our way into a lunge. Maybe bringing that right hand onto a block or fist in the mat. We'll twist toward that bent leg, maybe reaching that left arm up or hand on the hip. And on our exhale, let's lower that lifted arm. We'll step back into downward dog or our child's pose. We'll take a flow here or a rest. So from here, let's lift up that right leg. And as we exhale, let's bring the right knee toward the nose in a three-legged plank. Inhaling back to a three-legged dog and exhaling, three-legged plank. Now the next time we're in that three-legged plank, let's pause here. We're taking that right leg under that left arm off the mat. And then we'll lift the left arm to the sky and we'll open up into a fallen triangle. And then with as much intention as we use to come in, we bring that left hand back to the earth, core active, and we bring that knee in. We'll step back into downward facing dog. From here, let's lift the left leg up. Core is connected. Exhaling, we'll bring the knee toward the nose in that three-legged plank, and we'll come back into three-legged dog 4 more times. And that last time, we'll meet with the knee under the chest. We'll take the left leg, foot behind the right arm, And we'll open up the right side of the body, fall in triangle. And as we exhale with that intention, lowering that lifted right arm, knee comes back to center, and we'll step back to downward dog or child's pose. Moving through a vinyasa or resting. So from here, let's raise the gaze and walk those feet forward. We'll soften our knees, rooting and rising as we inhale. And exhaling into our mountain pose. Let's turn again to face the long edge of the mat. We'll step our feet out wide. This time the feet will be parallel with each other rather than turning out. And we'll start with the hands on our hips. So as we inhale, let's take the arms out like a T. Exhaling, hands behind the back, finding a chest expansion. Inhaling and gently lifting through the heart. And exhaling, hinging forward, leading with that heart space. Maintaining a softness in our knees as we move into our standing straddle. Arms reaching up any amount. Again, the head can surrender, maybe head turning one side, and then the other, maybe a few nods. And then let's lower our arms down to the earth, bending our knees as we need to get the hands down. If we have a block, we could bring a block here. Placing the left hand on the block, and then sweeping the right arm up to the sky as we inhale. Exhale, sweeping that arm behind. So flowing here with our breath. And eventually, we'll meet with that right arm up. And as we exhale, we'll lower that arm. Let's switch the hands. And we'll repeat with the other side, keeping the hips centered, sweeping the left arm up as we inhale, reaching behind the right as we exhale. So twists are another really great movement for our lymphatic system. Because we're twisting our internal organs, we're squeezing them out, and we unsqueeze them, they soak up fluid around them. We'll meet here then with that left arm up. And as we are ready, we'll undo. So from here, let's soften our knees and let's turn those heels in. We'll bend our knees, lowering our hips. And then we're lifting up. We're going to come into goddess pose again. From here, let's root and rise. 5-pointed star. Exhaling, bending the knees, elbows into the ribs, moon pose. We'll inhale and turn toward the top short edge of our mat, coming into a lunge pose. And we'll exhale, folding forward, stepping our back foot forward to come into a pyramid pose. So we can make our pyramid pose with the hands on the knee, above the knee, shin maybe on the block or all the way down, our expression of pyramid pose. Now on the inhale, bringing the weight to the forward leg, floating up the back leg. We can stay here in supported warrior 3, or we can open up that lifted leg, the hip, the heart, the arm for half moon pose. And then on our exhale, we'll soften the front knee, and with intention, we're moving into that goddess pose again. We can bring our block along. Let's inhale, 5-pointed star. On the exhale, moon pose, elbows in toward the ribs, knees are bending. Now this time, we'll turn to face the back short edge of the mat for lunge pose. And as we exhale, we'll bring our hands onto our thigh as we step that back foot forward. Maybe the hands come onto the shin, block or all the way down for our pyramid pose. And then bringing the weight onto the front leg, left leg, we'll float up the right leg, bringing ourselves into 3-point balance, supported warrior 3, or maybe we're opening the heart, the hip, the heart, the hand in our half moon pose. On the next exhale, softening that front knee. Slow motion lowering, we come back into, we can bring ourselves into prayer squat, or maybe we like that goddess pose. So these are all the components of moon salutation. Let's flow with our breath. We'll inhale, 5-pointed star. We'll exhale to moon pose. We'll inhale, top short edge of our mat for high lunge. We'll exhale into our pyramid pose. Inhaling into half moon pose, or another option, our 3-point balance. Exhaling into our prayer squat or goddess pose. Inhaling, 5-pointed star. Exhaling, moon. Inhaling, back short edge of the mat, high lunge pose, and exhaling, pyramid pose. Inhaling, half moon pose or 3-point balance, supported warrior 3. Exhaling, our prayer squat or goddess pose. So let's flow a few times with our own breath pace through these postures in our moon salutation. And we'll balance between our two sides. And we'll meet back at the top short edge of our mat. Couple of breaths. Recentering, grounding. So we'll move into a few standing balance poses. We'll shift the weight onto the right foot. Let's open the left hip and knee for tree pose, any expression. Maybe hands stay at the heart or arms reach up. We'll lower our arms if they're lifted. And we'll bring that bent knee forward. And we'll take the right hand across and we'll open up into a standing balancing twist. We can always bring the toes of that front foot on the earth. We'll untwist and we'll take the bent leg behind us to move into our expression of a dancer pose. And as we're ready, we'll return to mountain pose. Maybe rotating out that left foot. It's the right foot. And then we'll switch sides. When we're ready, we'll start our tree pose. We'll take this into our standing balancing twist. Arms will lower. We'll take the bent knee forward. Left hand comes across. And it's tricky to open up, to twist while on one leg. Finding a place that's just right. All of the components working together. The four corners of the feet, strong legs, supporting core, a focal point. Full deep breath. And we untwist as we're ready. And we'll find our expression of dancer pose. And then as we're ready, we come back, rotating out that left ankle. So from here, let's sweep our arms up. As we inhale, we'll take a swan dive, hands all the way down. And we'll bring our knees onto the mat. Onto our blanket if we prefer. If we have a block, we can bring that block between our thighs. We'll give that a little squeeze. And without a block, we just pretend. So activating those inner thighs toward each other, and then we'll make fists. So we'll bring the fists into the fleshy part of the glutes on either side of the sacrum. And keeping those hips over the knees, we'll lift up through the heart space, gently supporting the lower back with our fists. And then following the breath here. So letting the breath, each inhale, be the vehicle for expanding the chest here. If we are feeling bendy, we can reach our hands down toward our heels. Still utilizing the breath to expand the heart space. And then as we're ready, we come up. We'll take the block out. And let's make our way back into child's pose for a moment, taking the arms out long. And then we'll move forward onto our bellies, all the way through a crocodile and down. And then from here, let's bring our arms out like goddess arms, like we've been practicing. Tops of our feet in the mat. And let's draw up the root lock. We'll try to draw our hip bones toward each other and our dimples in the low back toward each other to shore up our core. And then as we inhale, let's lift up through the heart space, those bent arms lifting up, and exhale, we'll lower down. And we'll flow with this, lifting up as we inhale and lowering with ease as we exhale. And we'll do 2 more. And on the last one, we'll maintain that lift, and we can keep the arms bent as they are, or maybe we'll extend the elbows, taking the arms out long behind us. Maybe we'll float up our legs. You can experiment with turning the palms up or keeping the palms down. So we're in our expression of locust pose here. And then bending our knees and bringing our heels toward our hands. We could do both legs or one leg at a time. Maybe we're focusing on drawing the heels toward the bottom to stretch the quads. Or maybe we're pressing the ankle into the palm to lift up through the heart space. Now, if we're doing one leg, let's switch. Then we'll release and bring our hands, our arms to stack, forehead to rest on the stacked arms. We'll raise our gaze as we're ready. We'll bring our hands beneath our shoulders. We'll press into the hands, the knees, activating our core. We'll press up and back, sitting off to either side. And let's find a seated position here. And let's, any position of comfort for the lower body. And let's bring awareness to the neck. So as we exhale, we'll turn the head one way, back to center. We inhale, exhale, head turns the other way. So we'll keep the shoulders still. Maybe we have the hands in the gesture of wisdom with the palms down, the okay sign. Or maybe the palms are up, the gesture of consciousness. Or again, you can just look at it as a gesture of being okay. So how's the neck doing? Without a judgment, just noticing tension, tightness, soreness. So many of us hold stress in our neck. If it's comfortable and our neck is healthy, we'll add a little more movement. As we turn to one side, we'll draw the chin down toward the chest, letting the head roll to center and then lifting. So exhaling, we turn, draw the chin down, move the head to center, and inhale, we'll lift back up. And let's balance between the two sides. We'll take a moment to notice there. Now we'll bring the right hand across to the left shoulder, letting the arm kind of weigh down the shoulders. We bring the right ear toward the right shoulder. So the left side of the neck kind of opens up here, adjusting our chin in any position so that we're finding that stretch that feels just right. And then utilizing our breath. So finding the breath in the places where we feel sensation. Just having the idea that we can send the breath to places of tension and tightness and soreness. Letting each breath kind of soften and release those tight, tense, sore areas. And so then gently, we'll take the right hand to the right side of the skull and use the hand to gently bring the head back to a centered place. And before we switch sides, just notice the difference in sensation between one side of the neck and the other. And now let's make them feel the same. We'll bring the left hand across, the left ear toward the left shoulder, adjusting that chin until we find that just right spot. And eventually, when we feel balance between the two sides, we'll bring the left hand to gently aid the head back to that centered spot. Take a couple of breaths to observe. So from here, we're moving into a couple of restorative postures. And so the first one will be simple back bend. So love to start with this easy back bend. If you have a blanket, you can roll it up or fold it up. You could also use your yoga mat as a prop. Bolster is too large for this simple back bend. So your prop will come behind your back at your armpits. So if you're using a blanket or your mat, it's going to be right at your armpit. You could also use a yoga block behind your back as well. So we want to position our prop, arms out like a T, knees are bent. Gently opening the heart space here. So restorative yoga postures are wonderful to practice when we're tired, when we have low energy for whatever reason, maybe we're sick, at bedtime, when we're trying to kind of wind down, times that we are stressed. Because gravity and the props put our body in the position, all we have to do is breathe. So let's take a long, easy inhale, followed by a long, easy exhale. And then we'll do 3 rounds of regular breath. We're going to stay in this pose for 3 minutes. So if this position is so comfortable that you want to stay longer, feel free. Otherwise, rolling with intention to either side, using the top arm to gently bring the torso up. Our next position is a supported twist. So if we have the blanket, again, we can roll it. We can use a rolled up yoga mat. We can use a bolster or a very firm body pillow. And we'll bring it in front of us. And we'll bring the right hip to the edge of that prop. And so both knees will point the same direction. And then we'll turn the torso toward the prop. And then we'll recline the torso over the prop. And then the head can turn any direction. We might need to use an arm to prop the forehead so we can breathe. And we'll bring ourselves into this supported twist. And as before, let's just focus on that centering breath. A long, easy inhale, followed by a long, easy exhale. And then 3 rounds of our regular breath, whatever that is. If we are in the twisting posture, bringing the hands to the earth and with intention, slowly raising ourselves up off the bolster or prop. And then we'll either move the prop or we'll move our body so we can do the other side. Left hip to the bolster, tall spine as we inhale, we'll exhale, turn and recline over the bolster. And readjusting the head position, it might be different on this side. And settling back in. So as we are ready, we'll slowly bring ourselves up off of that bolster. And then we're preparing for Shavasana. So we might want to add layers and get ourselves propped up. And in Shavasana, we'll be listening to guided visualization, which can be a really powerful tool that we can use for self-regulation. So any position of the body for final relaxation, it could be on our backs with our knees bent. It could be with the legs all the way out long, and palms open to the sky, letting the legs, arms relax. It could be lying on our side or even on our belly. We can use props to support us behind the head, behind the knees. Anything goes as long as the body is comfortable. But please take a moment or two to position yourself as comfortably as you can, allowing your body to be well supported, and gently letting your eyes close if they want to, and arranging it so your head, neck, and spine are straight. Perhaps letting your hands rest comfortably somewhere on your body, on your chest or midriff or abdomen, so you can feel the rise of your body when you breathe in and the way it settles back down when you breathe out. And you're becoming more and more attuned to the feel of your breath moving in and out of your body. And now taking a nice, deep, full cleansing breath and breathing out fully and completely, feeling the expansion of your belly with each breath in and the way your body subsides with each out breath. And again, breathing in. And this time, imagining that you're sending the warm energy of your breath to places in your body that might be sore or tense or tight. And releasing the tension with the out breath. So you can feel your breath going into those places, warming and softening and loosening them, and then gathering it all up and breathing it out. So that more and more you can feel safe and comfortable, relaxed and easy, watching the cleansing action of your breath. And any unwelcome thoughts, those too can be sent out with the exhale, so that for just a moment your mind is empty, free and clear space, and you are blessed with peaceful stillness. And any emotions you might sense inside, those too can be noted and breathed out of your body. So you can be still and quiet, like a smooth and glassy lake with no ripples. And now, if you would, see if you can imagine a place where you feel safe and peaceful, relaxed and easy. And it might be a place you used to go to, or somewhere you go to now, or a place you've always wanted to be. It could be by the ocean, or in the woods, or up in the mountains or deserts. It doesn't matter, just so you choose one of the places that feel good and peaceful to you. And allowing the place to become real in all its dimensions. Looking around you, enjoying the colors, the play of light and shadow, the scenery in all its detail, looking over to your left and over to your right, and feeling whatever you're sitting against or lying upon, whether you're leaning against a friendly old oak tree or lying on sweet meadow grass, or walking in the woods on a fragrant carpet of spicy pine needles. You might even be walking in the surf with cool wet sand oozing between your toes and gentle waves lapping at your ankles. Or maybe you're just sitting on a nice warm rock in the sun and listening to the sounds of the place, birds singing, or the rustling sounds of a soft wind through the trees, or the powerful rhythmic crash of ocean waves, or the gentle, soothing sound of a babbling brook. Just so you're letting your ears become attuned to all the beautiful sounds of this place that is so safe and peaceful to you. And smelling its rich fragrance, whether it's the sharp, bracing scent of salt sea air, the sweet, heavy fullness of flowers and grass, the pungent, dark green smell of peat moss in the forest. Sometimes the air is so rich and fragrant, you can practically taste it on your tongue. And noticing the feeling of the air on your skin as it caresses your face and neck. And it might be crisp and dry, or balmy and wet. So you're just letting your skin enjoy the nourishing presence of this place that is so safe and peaceful to you. And letting its healing energy soak into your skin, letting it fill you, feeling it move into muscle and tissue and bone, all the way down into each and every cell. So with every breath, you're inhaling the nourishing beauty of this place, bringing it into your body, breathing it into your heart. And with each exhale, you're more and more able to release whatever you wish to let go of. Breathing deeply and easily, taking the peaceful beauty of the place into your body with each in-breath and letting it move all through you. And breathing out whatever you wish to release, strong and steady, in and out, peaceful and easy. And so, whenever you are ready, taking another full, deep breath, and gently, with soft eyes, coming back into the room, knowing in a deep place that this place is inside of you, that you are better for this, and so you are. Easing our way back into some movement, perhaps stretching our arms and our legs out into a luxurious stretch, or maybe we're bringing our knees into our chest to stretch our backs. Maybe we're moving into some sort of an easy twist. And if we're lying on our backs, when we're ready, we'll move to one side. We'll take a few breaths in that side lying place. And eventually we'll come to a seated place. And tonight, a few times we did the Garuda, the eagle mudra, the gesture of immunity. So let's end with that right hand on the heart, left over the right, thumbs interlaced and fingers spread. Once more, let's water the seeds of gratitude. Grateful for our health, for this body, no matter the shape, size, condition, age, or affliction. And grateful for our practice, which is like pressing a reset button, bringing us to a place of centered balance and ease. It has been my joy to guide you in the practice, and I hope you got exactly what you needed. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.